Hello everyone, welcome back to the homestead. Every spring, amidst the joys of being able to get back outside into the gardens, we also brace ourselves for the challenges, because with gardening there's always challenges. They might not be the same challenges from year to year, but there's always something that comes up to challenge us along the way and cause us to have to think creatively and solve some problems. So in today's spring garden tour, we're not going to hide the challenges. We're going to be very real and share some of the things that we've been dealing with this year, but also the joys of gardening so far. I would say our two biggest challenges this year have been actually dogs in the garden and birds in the garden. So I'll talk about some of those issues as we go along, but let's go ahead and start in the kitchen garden and specifically in our backyard. Our backyard is pretty much like the rest of the garden. It's a mixture of some beds that we grow annuals in, but a lot of perennials, and we've got some berry bushes and fruit trees, all kinds of delightful things going on in the backyard. Right now I'm particularly enjoying some of our late daffodils and the ajuga. The color combination of those two has been so fun over the last few days, so we're really enjoying those. And if you back up just a little bit, I guess I'm kind of working backwards in this video. Back up a little bit is our white garden, which is right below our tank tower. And there's not a lot of white going on right now, but there are some little white violets and some white bleeding hearts, but it's mostly green this time of year. Continue to back up our pathway. Opposite the root cellar, we've got two annual beds. Both of which we have potatoes planted in. They're newly planted, so the potato plants are just beginning to pop through. And those are on either side of our butterfly garden, which is full of color in the middle of the summertime. Between the backyard and the rest of the kitchen garden, we have a space with lots of fun little beds where we've got a lot of perennials and herbs. We've got asparagus and walking onions and all kinds of things tucked into various beds, with a big redbud tree in the middle that provides some fun shade in that area through the summertime. Next you come to our gooseberry, hardy citrus, and honeyberry area. There are a lot of little tiny gooseberries on our Pixwell gooseberry bush, so that's exciting. And the honeyberries are loaded. It's hard to see the little berries this time of year because they're mostly tucked inside the bush, but they're in there hiding away, getting larger every day, and any day now they're going to turn that nice deep blue purple color and be ready to harvest. Beyond the honeyberries, we have a bunch of strawberry beds that we also plant garlic in. Those are quite weedy this time of year, so we've got a lot of work to clean those up. But the strawberries are blooming and the garlic is growing really well. So even amongst the weeds, there's still some harvest that we're going to get to enjoy soon. Next we have 6 annual beds, and the first one you come to, we have our earliest planted potatoes that unfortunately got a little damaged by our last frost, but hopefully that was the last frost and they're going to recover okay. The next bed is empty and waiting for our first bush beans to be planted. Then the next one is cabbage, which we've got a bug cover over to protect our little cabbages. And last year we had a lot of cutworm damage on our brassicas, so somebody gave us a really good tip to sprinkle some corn around each of the plants. The reason was so that the cutworms would fill themselves up on the corn and be full and not attack the plants. So I'm happy to report that so far that is working. We have not put corn around every plant because we wanted to see if it was actually working or not. And sure enough, every plant that has corn has been fine, but the plants that we did not put corn around, some of them have been attacked by the cutworm. So at this point, we're going to be putting corn around all of our cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower to protect from the cutworms. Then the next annual bed has potatoes that are just starting to pop through. The next bed has our fall started onions. This is the first year that we've tried planting onions in the fall and keeping them under a row cover all winter long. So that bed is very covered in weeds. We've got to go through and clean out the weeds, but the onions are looking good so far. The last annual bed in that area of the garden is the last of our early spring lettuces and our fall planted carrots, and we are hopefully any day now going to be planting more potatoes into that bed. Next you come to a little perennial horseshoe area, which we've got some sedum in and Johnny jump ups, some midnight masquerade penstemon, there's yarrow, Got comfrey in there. It's just a fun little space where we've got some perennials and herbs and things. And echinacea. So come summertime, it will be an area that will attract a bunch of beneficial bugs into the garden. Beyond those annual grow beds, we've got the beginning of our little miniature orchard in our kitchen garden. We've got 4 apple trees, and beneath all of those, we like to plant perennials like spring bulbs. We've planted wild phlox in there, sweet violets, various irises, comfrey, lots of fun little things. We've got a columbine just about ready to open up, and we are so thankful to see that there are apples on all of our apple trees this year. Usually we get apples on just 1 or 2, but this year they've all got a lot of apples, little teeny babies. So as I mentioned in our last video, we used a silica solution to help get all of our fruit trees through the late frost that we have, because they were all blooming through the frost. It seems like it helped the apple trees, but the pear trees not so much, and our peaches didn't really bloom this year, hardly at all. And thankfully our cherries bloomed late, and they're still just beginning to open up, so hopefully the cherries will be safe from frost. But our experience is every year we get all excited about seeing these little apples and little fruits, and then pest and disease just one by one take them out, and we sadly see them drop to the ground before they have a chance to mature. So I'm going to try something new this year. I'm going to try using kaolin clay to spray on all of the fruit trees and see if that will help with some of our pest and disease issues that we have here in Missouri. If any of you have a good organic solution for dealing with pest and disease on fruit trees, please leave it in the comments below. We really want to see the fruit mature and be able to enjoy that harvest this year. So beyond the apple trees, as I said, the peaches didn't really bloom this year. We got a few blooms, but don't know if we're going to get much fruit from those. And the pears bloomed really early this year for some reason, so I think we lost most of those to the frost despite using the silica. Not sure what to do about that. Usually the pears bloom a little bit later and we actually get a decent harvest from them, so I guess every year is just going to be a little bit different. And then beyond all our fruit trees, we go into Esther's garden. She does have a cherry tree there, and just a really fun little space in the back corner of the garden. And right now she's got a lot of beautiful purple blooms going on. And then if you swing back around toward the house direction, Biddle and Abby both have little garden spaces again this year, and those are really fun to see. Biddle's got a cute little late daffodil blooming right now, and Abby, she is filling her space full. She's just so excited to plant every little spare nook and cranny of her garden space. Everything's starting to bloom.
Mama.
Do you remember what these are?
Garlic chive.
These ones are just regular chives. Yep. What you got in your hand?
My lettuce from my plant.
Lettuce. Very cool.
Good lettuce.
We can add that to our dinner tonight.
I can pick some more because it was nice and big. It was probably like this big around.
Cool, that'd be fantastic. What you got over here, Biddle?
Is this a weed?
Yep, that's a weed. How do you like your little daffodil, sweetheart?
I like it. It's beautiful. It's my first time having it this year.
Yeah, you just planted that last year when it was already done blooming, huh?
Yeah. And then I have this little plant. It's hopefully going to get really big. And it still has a lot of space to grow. And I'm hoping to move that plant over to here so that plant has more space to grow. Because if you look behind you, there's a big plant just the same as this plant, so this plant can get a big old bushel.
I'll show them real quick.
Whoop. That's my mom.
That's how big this little one over here might get.
And that's why I'm hoping to move this one over to here.
Continuing back toward the house, we've got our double arch trellis, and here is where some of the chicken damage is obvious. The chickens have come in and dug up our carrot bed many times, and I try and rake it back out smooth and hope for the best. Thankfully, it looks like we've still got a few baby carrots trying to come up. But yeah, chickens are just so destructive. We'll be gone for one afternoon and come home and they've dug through tons of beds. One of their favorite things to do is dig up my newly transplanted perennials. I love to kind of spread the perennials around the garden this time of year and pot some up for friends. Almost everywhere where I'd have a newly planted perennial, the chickens would just dig it up, and I've found them like 4 feet away from where I'd planted them before. They just love to dig them up, and then I have to replant them. There's a few that I think are beyond hope, like these little violets. They've been dug up one too many times, so I think they're going to the compost. So I will tell you more about how we're handling the chicken problem later in the video. But another issue we have here in Missouri is torrential rains during this season. So that's why we've done mostly all raised garden beds and pea gravel around them. That seems to be working well. But every once in a while, it rains so hard that we end up having sinkholes various places in the garden. So one of our beds has a couple holes side by side where just the soil has vanished. I think it's because the mole holes kind of open up when the rain gushes through and become the outlet for all that rain. So that's kind of a quick overview of the kitchen garden. I'm gonna head out to the main crop garden now, but first along the way we've got a little patio bed where we've got some spring lettuce and radishes growing. This year we're growing a red Batavia mix, Tango, Merlot, and outrageous. Alright, so heading out to the main crop is another huge challenge that we had this year. We decided to use bone meal on our beets and onions. And we planted a lot of onions in and around our broccoli and cauliflower this year. So the day that we planted those and applied the bone meal, even though we tried to get it down deep and cover it, the wind was blowing so hard, it just blew the bone meal everywhere. And at that time we still had a temporary fence line on our garden. So our dogs got in and dug through almost all of the beds, dug up all our newly planted beets, our newly planted onions and onion sets, dug up all our broccoli and cauliflower. It was an absolute mess. How's it coming, Esther? You able to salvage anything?
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, this bed's looking much better. This is just a shambles. That happened at night, so the next morning I discovered it, and that very day I'm so thankful for our children. They jumped right in and went to work getting the permanent fence line in that space. We had left it temporary just because we were waiting for a load of topsoil to come into the garden, but that fell through, so we decided let's just go for it. So they went to work building the second half of the retaining wall for the front part of the front wall of the garden, and put up fencing, made 2 gates and attached them. Now the dogs can't get into the garden. And then Esther Pie spent hours going through all of the beds, trying to find the plants that were still okay and replant them. And we do have some extra plants that we're going to be able to plug in where we had losses. So all in all, the main crop is doing okay despite our dogs. Before I go in there and show you around, first I'm going to take you out to where some exciting changes are happening on the homestead. We had 2 really exciting days last week with 3 machine operators on the property, and I'm not going to go into the details in this video, but some exciting changes are coming to the homestead, and so in the next video I'll share more details of that. But for now, here's just a sneak peek of some of the work they did. And the ducks are back in the duck area. We decided to move them out of the front garden because we're going to be doing some work in there this year. So they are back in their area, and we're excited to see some blooms on the apple trees in there. Maybe we'll get apples for the first time on those trees. And then beyond the duck yard, we've got 2 new chicken tractors that are helping to solve our chickens in the garden problem. So it's difficult as it is to catch our wild chickens. Little by little we're catching them and putting them into the chicken tractors to rotate on our back pasture to keep them from getting in the gardens anymore. Yay, we just caught 3 more! Set up a trap in the turkey yard for them. They are very wild. Cannot catch them unless you trap them. So yay, 3 more are going into chicken tractors on the pasture and not going to be allowed in the garden anymore. Woohoo! Good job, guys. Good job keeping an eye out. So we just had this trap set up. There's a string line that goes all the way through the garden to the other side, and Caleb was ready there to pull it as soon as they all got in. And Josh and Nate are here today as well. Got the whole crew here helping out today doing homestead stuff. It's fantastic. So now we're gonna get a net and we'll net them one by one and take them to their new home.
They're a little bit more goofy out in this, but you know, you can just get their feet. Get them entangled.
There we go.
Who wants to take this one? Jay, you want to take this one over?
There she is. All right. Enjoy your new home on the pasture. All right, so back into the main crop garden. This year we put in a couple more just temporary large beds for potatoes. We've got a few new beds this year as well that we're going to be filling up soon here. We've already been putting some rotten wood and just old plant debris, whatever we can think of, we've been trying to throw in the bottom of the 2-foot high beds. But next will be topsoil, which we got a lot of, thankfully, from the project that was done last week here on the homestead. So we're going to be filtering through that to put that in the beds, and then after that we'll go a mixture of compost, peat moss, and perlite to kind of top them off. This is cool. You guys have set up quite the system here for filtering this topsoil. Yesterday Joseph made this frame here with 1-inch hardware cloth, and it's working well. Yay! Lots of rocks. And that looks like big old chunks of grass and debris.
Here's the one thing you should see the bottom. Low on the soil. Try and get rid of that rock pile. You can see about the size of the rocks. It's going to be about 2 inches smaller. There's one in the bucket over there.
Where do you think that's on? Wow, we're already filling that up like halfway now.
We've got some radishes growing, coming along really well. Thankfully, no dogs or chickens got to those beds. The beets are recovering from the dog damage. We've got some garlic coming up, lots of garlic. We really love the garlic. Our sweet potato beds are just waiting for starts. We're gonna put them out in a few weeks from now. I've got almost enough. Our windowsill is full of starts. We moved the starter potatoes and our ginger and turmeric starts outside because the weather is warmer now and we're not supposed to have any more frost. So we'll still continue to get a few more plants off of those sweet potatoes. Behind the sweet potato beds, we've got our swale, which has got some chestnut trees and pawpaws and a whole bunch of perennial herbs and plants that are looking really beautiful this time of year. And then back into the garden beds, we've got our onion sets, which were dug up, and we were able to replant most of those. So those are starting to pop up. We've got more garlic. We've got a little area where we're starting rhubarb. It was new last year, so the plants have come back. They overwintered well, and I'm hoping to plant even more rhubarb in that bed. And then next to them, we've got raspberries. Then back over further into the garden, we've got a bed full of kohlrabi and some of the giant thunderhead kale that we grew last year that we just loved. And back over on the side of the garden, we've got bug cover over cauliflower and broccoli. We also interplanted some onion sets as well. And other than the damage from the dogs and a couple losses to cutworms, those are doing okay. So we've got some extra plants we're going to fill in the holes with, and hopefully those will do well. And then back toward kind of the front side corner of the main crop, we still have our raspberry bed that we first put in before any other beds went in the garden. That was our first bed. We just used some rocks, and eventually we're going to replace that bed with the wood just like all the rest of the beds. But those raspberries have done so well for us. The variety is called Heritage, and we've also got garlic planted there as well, in and amongst the raspberry plants. So as I mentioned before, we moved the ducks out of the front garden. That was because we needed to use that space for temporarily putting our blackberries, because we're changing things up a little bit. Our blackberries have not done well where we had them on some mini swales, so we're filling that area back in, and we're going to reseed it and extend our calf separation area into that space because it's right off the barn. It'll be really convenient for separating our calves when we need to get milk from the mamas. And so the blackberries are temporarily in the front garden until we get beds made for them. How's it looking, Josh?
Looking pretty good.
Think we have enough soil out here to get it all leveled and hopefully not holding water anymore?
Yeah, I think we do.
Good. So our greenhouse is completely full this time of year, especially because really exciting blessing happened for Esther. A couple of her friends have been selling plants and just locally, and they invited her to sell some plants too. So she's been potting up some of our extra perennials from the garden and our extra seed started plants, and has actually been able to sell some plants. So we're really thankful for that. She's enjoying that process, and it's something she's wanted to do for a long time. So I'm really thankful she's getting to do that. But it means our greenhouse is completely full. Like, there's hardly even room to stand in there. But now that the frosts are over, we'll be able to move the plants out onto the top of our root cellar, and it'll open up some more space in there. So it all works out. So the last thing I'll show you for today's tour is actually our Vejiga grow bed that we were gifted a few years ago now, and it has been such a blessing to have. We specifically put it right on the side of our house on the patio, so super easy access, and it gets a lot of shade through the summer. So I've been using that for our summer, some of our summer greens. Right now I've got some arugula and collards and kale planted in there, and they're doing wonderful. So we are still affiliates for that company. If you're looking for some really high quality, quick, easy beds to put together for growing food this year, you can get 10% off using the code ROOTS. The link is in the description below. Whew, okay, that was a lot to get through. Thanks for joining me on the homestead and in the gardens today. Come frost, downpours, dogs, or chickens, we're carrying on in the gardens this year. Do you have any challenges you're facing in the garden this year? Please share in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're overcoming those challenges. Stay tuned for our next video where we're going to share more about some of the exciting big changes coming to the homestead. Thank you as always to our patrons who make these videos possible. We so appreciate you guys. Until next time, we pray blessings over you and yours, and whatever you do, do it with your whole heart.